Morning. Sure, this is gonna cause all kinds of troubles, but I was watching the infographic show about buying nuclear weapons on the black market, and I thought this doesn't align with what I've learned in my college and university days. One of the things they said in that infographic show thing is that the plans and details on how to actually build a nuclear weapon are classified. And they said that there's things like radiation detecting dogs, which they use at airports. And I'm like, this doesn't align with what I've learned. First of all, nuclear weapons plans are not secret. You can, in fact, get very detailed instructions on how to build a nuclear bomb in standard college or university technical manuals for physics. It might take some looking, but it isn't secret covert technology. It's just not very widely known. And they, far as I know, don't really look for atomic bombs with dogs. The reality is that enriched uranium has a specific radiation pattern that can easily be seen from satellites. And that's why a lot of these nuclear research sites are built so deep underground, because they hope the radiation will not be detectable from satellites when they enrich their fuel grade uranium into weapons grade uranium, which is why they're building these things deep underground. But reality is that you can indeed detect enriched uranium from a satellite, which is why a lot of these nuclear scares that we have that somebody is studying nuclear technology is actually something of a hoax, because once you put together enough enriched uranium to actually have a bomb, because it's not a few grams to build a nuclear bomb, it's actually on the order of 30 kilos of enriched uranium for 30 kilotons of detonation strength, roughly. And 30 kilograms of enriched uranium shines like a freaking light bulb. It's not a small amount of radiation to have 30 kilos of enriched uranium. That's enough to run a nuclear generator for quite a while. And to put it in perspective, one pellet about half the length of your thumb is enough to power a large first world apartment for years. So having and we're doing detonations again, and having that level of radiation anywhere in the planet is very easily detectable from space. So they don't really use nuclear detection dogs, is all I wanted to say about that thing. To be fair, they use satellites for that purpose and they're very efficient at it. Now, that being said, the actual capability of purchasing nuclear weapons on the black market is something that anybody who knows how the black market works knows that is actually possible. Uh, the thing with nuclear weapons, or in fact almost any kind of product that people want, is that if you pay enough, you'll get it. But it might not be in the realm of terrorist organizations to do because of the satellite surveillance, but it is certainly in the realm of nations to do. So you can't purchase a nuclear bomb in, say, one of these former Soviet satellites and just start driving it in a van across the world, because that will light up every nuclear uh, scanning satellite on the world. But if you are a nuclear power that has actual civilian nuclear reactors, and you, for example, purchase a small nuclear missile that can be fit on something like, say, a Tomahawk or a small cruise missile, and you at the same time purchase uh, uranium for your reactor, and you ship them in the same convoy, and you hold the missile roughly at the nuclear reactor site so that it masks the radiation from the missile, then yeah, sure, you can do it. But if you're a country like Afghanistan, where we know for sure there isn't any nuclear radiation anywhere because they don't have reactors or mines, and you suddenly see a flare of like radiation slowly moving across the country, then you can be pretty sure what it is. But if it's a country with a large nuclear industry, a lot of radiological signals, and one of these happens to have a nuke in like a ton of low enriched uranium contains one cruise missile somewhere in the same cargo thing, then yeah, it can technically be done. But like some of my associates said, the difficult part isn't in purchasing the nuke, it's in bribing the feds to not kill you about it. It's in purchasing it in a way that fits into the treaties. And my opinion is that it's not an impossibility. It's not an impossibility. That's my opinion. The reality is that getting such a nuke to your target instead of your own country is a completely different ball game. Getting it into something that can be used to launch the nuke at another country is completely different. If you, for example, have the nuke in, say, an Eastern European former Soviet satellite, and you're purchasing it from some random nameless general there, getting it from there to anything resembling your target is going to be incredibly difficult. And most of these modern semi Western countries have low levels of constant missile defense around their main cities, at the very least their capital. And a single tomahawk is something that they'll shoot down if it suddenly starts approaching their country. And they have enough satellite capability to see if you stow it on a cargo ship and or something and just slowly try to get it there. So the difference between procuring the nuclear energy and actually using the nuclear energy on a target are two different things. But if you're actually looking for WMDs, then a nuclear bomb in the conventional sense is not the one that you should be looking for. What you should be looking for is directed energy weapons powered by a national power grid. The destructive potential of those is the same as a nuclear weapon and can, in fact, be tuned to target very specific individuals in a city instead of the entire city. And they are a lot easier to make. And in fact, by hacking a national power grid of even a small Western country will give you enough oomph to actually build one of those devices. But that may be something that you are unable to handle, because once you start throwing the national power grid into weapons, you become a very obvious target. And the usage of these directed energy weapons hooked up to planetary power grids is currently considered the sort of WMD that nobody likes to research, but everybody kind of researches. While as nuclear weapons, while being very terrifying and very unliked by the public, is something that we understand. It's not the level of danger of a completely new invention being used as a weapon. But long story short, I believe for a Hiroshima strength bomb that can be carried in a backpack that is not hideable from those satellites, you could perhaps get one for around 20 million. That's roughly what you could expect to be paying for it. Now, a successful delivery to a country that is hostile to you in a way that is clear that was you is another 20 at minimum. And making it so that the country that you're supposed to be targeting doesn't know for sure it's you is a minimum of a couple of 100 million. So, in terms of destructive power for a guerrilla organization, the nuclear bomb is far less efficient than sending over a group of mujahideen to just do random terrorism. The nuclear bomb, while being a scary one, isn't as effective as 100 guys with machine guns in a city that have coordinated what they're doing. And the cost is minuscule compared to a successful delivery of a nuclear weapon. But my closing argument on this is that if you want to buy a nuclear weapon, don't worry about dogs in airports, worry about satellites, because that's how we detect radiation, and have a infrastructure into which you can hide your nuclear potential because you already have a nuclear industry, and then you may be able to develop it. But the path to build your own nuclear weapon, if you're, say, a poor country with very little industry, is dozens, perhaps even thousands of times more expensive than simply purchasing one on the black market. So if your intent is to join the nuclear club and you're super poor and you believe that simply joining the nuclear club won't cause everybody to attack you, then yes, if you truly do the math and it looks like to your country it is the better way to go forward, then the black market is the place for you. Actually developing the infrastructure to build a nuclear bomb is dozens to thousands of times more expensive than buying it on the black market. So small scale rocketry that you can fit the nukes that you buy on the black market into, and then announcing that you're a nuclear power and going the very normal way forward, then you might be able to reach the nuclear club relatively quickly. But if you are a single individual, your best bet is not to have the nuclear weapon in your own arsenal, but to use your abilities to convince another country with a nuclear arsenal to put you in a position where you can access their nukes. That is the adult way of procuring nuclear weapons. So I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you for watching.